On April 5th, the news site Bloomberg dropped a bombshell and alleged that the Neom project was not going as originally planned. Instead of its initial plan of housing 1.2 million people by 2030, it was alleged that this figure was now 300,000. So not only are things not going smoothly, Neom is apparently running 75% below its initial target. And this raised a lot of eyebrows across the world. So is the line still set to transform urban living? And how has the world reacted to this news? Let's jump right into it. Scaling back. First of all, financing such a colossal project has been a big problem. Saudi Arabia's wealth fund, the Public Investment Fund, or PIF, has not yet approved Neom's budget for 2024, and its cash reserves are dwindling. And emptier pockets means less work for construction workers on the building site. Experts like Tim Callan from the Arab Gulf States Institute think that the government might need to inject an additional $270 billion into the PIF by 2030 to keep projects like the line afloat. Then there's Prince Mohammed's evolving vision for the line, which has led to budget overspends and frequent changes in key staff. And behind the scenes, some insiders have described the project as untethered from reality. But you'll probably recall that this skepticism was there from the very beginning. Many questioned Neom's feasibility when it was first announced, and 3D images were released. Architect and urban planner Etienne Bouabdou even said that the visuals seemed more like video game designs than practical architecture. However, there are foreign partners who were completely on board with this project, and since these reports of downsizing emerged, they now find themselves in a rather sticky situation. Korean companies. The news of Neom scaling back has sent shockwaves to construction firms in Korea, who are eagerly anticipating large-scale orders involving the Neom project. The construction market in Korea has hit a bit of a downturn, so many Korean construction companies had hoped that the line could keep them at work, but the volume of work might be facing serious cutbacks. So far, giants like Samsung C&T and Hyundai E&C have secured orders to build tunnels for the line, but other Korean construction firms haven't been as fortunate. An industry insider, speaking anonymously, revealed that most of what are called memorandums of understanding were signed for the Neom project, but they are unlikely to translate into main contracts. So basically, a lot of Korean construction companies thought that they were working on this project, but as of now, they are not so sure. A researcher at the International Contractors Association of Korea, Park Young-jin, explained the Neom project is incredibly challenging and its cost might exceed the initial $500 billion estimate due to various internal and external factors. This is why the project is now believed to be worth $1.5 billion. He also highlighted the Red Sea shipping crisis, which has delayed shipments and increased delivery costs, which has also badly affected other major projects in Saudi Arabia. But Korean construction firms are not the only people facing uncertainty. In fact, their neighbors over in Japan are also experiencing doubts. Believe it or not, a crisis is now facing a separate Neom project worth $1.5 billion. Cancellation of the desalination plant. As you may know, Neom is set to roll out in phases, but it looks like there's been a major change of plans. The $1.5 billion desalination plant, which was vital for the city's water supply, has been canceled. This project was a joint effort between Neom's Inowa, Japan's Itochu, and France's Veolia. It was supposed to provide up to 2 million cubic meters of desalinated water per day, covering about 30% of Neom's total water demand. Originally, the first phase was aimed to be up and running by 2025, but has now been pushed back to at least 2030. As you can imagine, the countries that signed up for this went looking for answers. Inowa explained that Neom's water needs have changed over the past year, leading them to expand capacity gradually. Because they are scaling back, there's no immediate need for the desalination plant, marking the first official project cancellation within Neom. However, future efforts may focus on developing a smaller desalination plant. By 2030, Neom's port city of Oxagon aims to house around 90,000 residents, with the plant intended to produce 500,000 cubic meters of desalinated water daily. But without a proper water system, people cannot live there. And water systems do more than just provide drinking and bathing water. This desalination plant was pivotal, not just for providing 100% renewable energy, but also for managing water, waste, and energy for residential, industrial, and commercial use. Neom also plans to include a green hydrogen plant, which would be the world's largest if completed and needs a lot of water to run smoothly. So the cancellation of this desalination plant could have a domino effect on other projects. But this isn't even the biggest problem. The desalination plant was merely a project worth $1.5 billion that was under threat. But there is another $10 billion problem they also need to focus on too. a delay in transport venture. So, Neom faces yet another hurdle with a delay in its $10 billion transport venture. This project will control most of the logistics surrounding Neom and impact the transport of goods and cargo in the area. This joint venture with Danish transport giant DSV has been postponed due to missing regulatory approvals. This was initially set to commence in the second quarter of this year, but has been pushed back. According to Bloomberg, the holdup stems from pending approvals from both Saudi Arabian and Egyptian authorities. Despite this, a DSV representative told Shipping Watch that their long-term expectations for the partnership remain intact, and said that such delays are routine for a project of this magnitude. Meanwhile, DSV continues to provide transportation services for Neom and is ready to scale up efforts once the necessary approvals are secured. The biggest question is whether the widespread scaling back of major projects involving Neom is temporary, or will these problems persist in the long run? And while nobody can predict the future, there are some issues happening that may not be going away. Are these problems long-term? The lack of human rights in Saudi Arabia has been a persistent criticism of the kingdom and extends even to the construction of the line. Neom's construction has displaced people who were living on where the line is scheduled to be built, and those who have protested against this have been imprisoned, and in some cases, sentenced to death. This has led to the UK company Solar Water completely pulling out of the project and has also put off potential investors. And, of course, this heavy-handed approach towards protesters has also put people off from living in the line. Whether Saudi Arabia can turn around investors is yet to be seen, but Saudi Arabia has also made huge efforts to clean its image on the world stage, with major investments in sports like football, golf, and the UFC. But their poor human rights record is just one of the issues that is putting off investors. The harsh truth is that investors are not completely confident that Saudi Arabia can pull this off. Torbjorn Soltvedt, principal analyst at risk consultancy Maplecroft, said, "Foreign direct investment investors haven't really bought into the Crown Prince's vision for a new Saudi Arabia. So, by scaling down, Saudi Arabia might ironically attract more investors, as the project is more likely to actually get completed." The original videos of flying cars and robots did not look very realistic, so it was not something people wanted to bet their money on either. Another prevailing issue is oil prices. Because Saudi Arabia is so reliant on oil, lower prices are bad news for the economy. According to the International Energy Agency, the demand for oil is predicted to completely slow down in 2028 or 2029, which could severely affect the Saudi economy, and they may have waited too late to diversify away from oil. However, despite all of these concerns, Saudi officials are pushing back against the rumors of scaling back. Officials deny scaling back. Saudi Arabia's economy minister, Faisal al-Ibrahim, has rejected recent reports claiming that Neom is scaling back. According to CNBC, al-Ibrahim said, "All projects are moving full steam ahead. We set out to do something unprecedented, and we're doing something unprecedented, and we will deliver something that's unprecedented." He explained that Saudi's economy is overheated and said, "Today, the economy in the kingdom is growing faster, but we don't want to overheat it. We don't want to deliver these projects at the cost of importing too much against our own interest. We will continue delivering these projects in a manner that meets these priorities, delivers these projects, and has the optimal healthy impact for our economy and healthy non-oil growth within it." However, al-Ibrahim's comments have not put everyone at ease on the line's success. When asked on whether the line will ever get made in the way it was initially envisioned, BBC reporter Marilyn Thomas said, "Never say never. But given what we know so far, given what we can see has already been achieved, given what they said they would have done so much more of it done by 2030, they said that they would have had so much more up and running already, that they'd have their first residents there, and that hasn't panned out. So the likelihood of this being pulled off in the form that they say it will, I doubt it." As Saudi Arabia pushes forward with its vision for a revolutionary urban utopia, only time will tell if these grand plans will come to fruition. But what do you think? Will the line and Neom as a whole become the futuristic city it aims to be, or is it destined to remain a dream? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this fascinating project.